Hi everyone, for those who don't know, my name is Niall. This is going to be my 80,000 subscriber Q&A. Over the past month I've asked you guys for a few questions, so I'll do my best to answer them as well as I can. So let's get started. So the first question is, how old am I? I'm 24. Where do I live? I live in Ireland. By far the most common question was, how long have I been playing guitar? I got my first guitar when I was maybe 7 or 8. It was a small 3/4 scale Spanish guitar. I learned the basics, a couple of chords, a couple of simple songs. When I was 12 I got my first electric guitar, and that's when I started to take it seriously. I started to get into metal, the heavier bands, so I always say I've been playing since I was 12. What guitars do I have? I have 6 guitars and a bass. So I have 2 small 3/4 scale Spanish guitars. They're Valencia, I believe. I haven't used them in any videos, but you might be able to see them in the background of some of the older videos. I have my black Tanglewood acoustic that I use in most of the videos that need acoustic. I have my black electric guitar, which is an Acoustic Solutions one. I got that when I was 12 and I used that in most of the older videos. Then I got my red Yamaha Pacifica when I was 18 and I used that in pretty much all of the videos up until I got my most recent guitar, my Ibanez, which I've used in pretty much every single video since I got it. How many instruments do I play? It's mostly guitar. I can play a small bit of piano, but what you've seen in the videos is pretty much the extent of how much I can play on piano. I also play bass in all the videos, but I play bass the way a guitar player plays the bass, so I don't consider myself a bass player. What are your other hobbies? I like to play golf, although I haven't played in about a year because of a hand injury and then moving to the new house. I do play games, although I don't have that much time anymore because of doing all the videos. I do enjoy a bit of photography. Whenever I go on trips anywhere, I always bring my camera and try and take some nice pictures. The thing that I do the most is probably 3D modeling and 3D sculpting. I've been using Blender for maybe 4 or 5 years now, so if I'm not doing music, I'm probably doing Blender while watching videos. What's your favorite color? Blue, in case you couldn't tell. What's your favorite band? Over the past couple of years I've been getting into the progressive metal kind of stuff, so like Periphery, Protest the Hero, Tesseract, all of those djenty kind of bands, but I think Periphery are my favorite. Who's your favorite superhero? Before the MCU, I'm going to say Spider-Man. I used to love the old Spider-Man animated series, and then of course the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man films, but now I think my favorite is Captain America. Winter Soldier made him my favorite. What is your favorite superhero show and movie? My favorite superhero movie was The Winter Soldier until Infinity War came out, and now I think Infinity War has taken that top spot. My favorite superhero show was The Flash. Season 3 was kind of a disappointment, and I haven't watched any of Season 4 yet, but I've heard that it's not that good. Are you a fan of the comics? I'm not really that into comics. I've read a couple, but I mostly prefer just to watch the shows or the movies. Marvel or DC? I'm sure you can tell from all the videos that I've done that Marvel is my favorite. Your favorite antagonist? I think Killmonger is one of my favorites. He was really compelling. The movie did a great job of making you understand where he came from and why he's doing what he's doing. As much as it was T'Challa's movie, I think it was Killmonger's as well. But now I think Thanos is my favorite. It's the same kind of thing. It's where you can really understand and feel where he's coming from. Infinity War wasn't an Avengers film, it was a Thanos film. What's your favorite movie? Infinity War is definitely up there, but I think my favorite is Inception. I try and watch it at least once a year, and at one point I had it on my phone and I used to watch it on the bus going to college. So Inception. What's your favorite show? You know, I think my favorite show of all time is Game of Thrones. I was late getting into it, but I think now it's definitely my favorite. I think Sherlock is another one of my favorites. I also do watch a lot of comedy shows like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Arrested Development, Parks and Recreation. I do like that kind of format, but I think Game of Thrones is probably my favorite. What's the worst show or movie you've ever seen? The worst show I've ever seen is The Big Bang Theory. I don't understand how it's still going for, what, 10 or 11 seasons now? It's terrible. I hate that show. I think the worst movie I've seen is probably Justice League. That's why I haven't done the theme for it. I don't understand how you can take Batman, The Flash, Aquaman, Superman, Wonder Woman and make a terrible movie out of it. What was your favourite TV show as a kid? I grew up on Pokemon, Power Rangers, Dragon Ball Z, all of the Cartoon Network shows, all of the Nickelodeon shows, Disney Channel, but I think my favourite was probably Dragon Ball Z. Who's your favourite Spider-Man and your favourite Spider-Man suit? I think my favourite is probably Tom Holland. Tobey Maguire was a perfect Peter Parker, not so good as Spider-Man. Andrew Garfield was a great Spider-Man, not so good as Peter Parker, but I think Tom Holland just has the perfect mix of both of them. I think my favourite suit is probably the Iron Spider from Infinity War. I just think that's so cool. It looks awesome. Are you excited for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse? Yeah, I think it looks really interesting. I don't know much about it, but as far as the animation style goes, I think it looks really cool. Spider-Man versus Batman. Who would win in a fight? Spider-Man has actual superpowers. He's more athletic, although he's less experienced than Batman. Batman has all of the money, all of the equipment. He has way more experience than Spider-Man, and he's Batman. So I think Batman wins. What TV show, movie, anime or video game do you think has the best music ever? For TV shows, I think Game of Thrones has the best music. I think for games, anything from the Final Fantasy series probably has the best music. Because Inception is my favourite movie, I think I'm going to say Inception probably has the best soundtrack. Hans Zimmer really set the tone perfectly for the movie. What did you think of Infinity War? I honestly thought it was the best Marvel movie so far. It wasn't so much for newer people, but people who were longtime fans of the MCU. As I said earlier, Thanos is a great villain. It was his movie, it wasn't the Avengers. I can't wait to see what happens in Avengers 4. I've read up a lot of fan theories about it, and if any of those are true, then it looks to be really really exciting, really impressive. Are you a fan of Star Wars? Yeah, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. The originals are classics, everybody loves them, but I grew up on the prequels, so I consider those to be my favourite. Revenge of the Sith is probably my favourite Star Wars movie. The sequels have been pretty disappointing so far. Kylo Ren and Rey are really good characters. The films themselves aren't that good. The Last Jedi probably had some of the best and some of the worst moments from Star Wars so far, but overall that film was pretty bad. What's your favourite MCU theme? I think my favourite theme is from Thor Ragnarok. I really love the 80s kind of synthy style that they went for. It was really cool and it was so different from everything else that we've heard so far in the MCU. How would you rank the Marvel movies? For me, I kind of rate the Marvel movies by if they're really, really good, if they're kind of in the middle, and then if they're bad. So I don't have a numbered system from 1 to 20. So I think my top 5 Marvel movies are Infinity War, Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, Thor Ragnarok, and Civil War. The top half of the more average films are Spider-Man Homecoming, Ant-Man, Black Panther, Doctor Strange, The Avengers, and Iron Man. The bottom half of the more average films, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Iron Man 3, Captain America the First Avenger, Age of Ultron, and Iron Man 2. And then the worst few Marvel movies, Thor The Dark World, The Incredible Hulk, and then the original Thor. I have a definite top 5, but then towards the end it just kind of all blurs together. What's your favourite game? I think my favourite game ever is Kingdom Hearts 2. It was the first game I bought with my own money. I spent so much time playing that. I 100% cleared the game. I even bought it again for the PS4 with the Kingdom Hearts remaster, and I'm really looking forward to Kingdom Hearts 3, which should be out later on this year. I don't have a favourite game at the moment. I think the last game that I played that I really enjoyed was Dark Souls 3. There's just not that many games out now that I really want to play. Top 5 video games. As I said earlier, Kingdom Hearts 2 is probably my favourite. Dark Souls 3 is up there. I really enjoy the Final Fantasy games, and I think Final Fantasy X is probably my favourite. I do also enjoy the Assassin's Creed games. I think Assassin's Creed 2 is probably my favourite. Again, I 100% cleared that one as well. The Witcher 3 is another great one. Of course, everybody loves that one. I really enjoyed playing Modern Warfare 2 as well. The multiplayer in that was probably the best Call of Duty multiplayer. I also really love Guitar Hero. Guitar Hero 3 was probably one of my favourite games growing up. How far did you reach in Skyrim? Honestly, I can't even remember how far I got. I played it on PC, so I had access to the console commands, so I kind of cheated my way through the game. I did finish it, but I can't remember how far I actually got without cheating. What rank are you in Overwatch competitive? I don't actually play Overwatch. I wanted to, but I never got around to it. What's your favourite game based on a comic? I'm assuming you mean comic book characters. If so, then I think the Lego Marvel games, they're not the best games I've ever played, but they're fun to play. But I'm really looking forward to the Spider-Man PS4 game that's coming out, so hopefully that will be good. I'm trying to learn piano, and I just wondered what kept pushing you to keep playing to the point you're at now. For me, I just wanted to get better. I know that I'm not the best guitarist out there. I know that I'm not the best music producer, but I know I want to get better. I want to try and improve. Whenever I see somebody else who's a better guitarist or a better music producer or better video editing, I always see that as a challenge. I'm trying to reach their level. I don't see it as something that I'm never going to achieve. I always try and get to that level. I try to think of it as a ladder or a scale from 0 to 10. If you're a complete beginner or you've never touched an instrument before, you're probably a 0 on that scale. The best musicians in the world, they are 9s and 10s. You need to be realistic about where you are on the scale. If you're a complete beginner, treat yourself like a complete beginner. You're not going to become the best guitarist in the world in 2 years or even 5 years or maybe even 10 years. All you have to do is try and get to the next step on the ladder. For me, I've been playing guitar for over 12 years. I would consider myself maybe a 6 or a 7 on that scale. I'm not the best guitarist in the world, I'm not the worst. I know what I'm good at and I know what I'm not good at. All I'm trying to work on is trying to get to that next step on the scale. One thing that I do is to try and learn a difficult song. Not too difficult, but just slightly harder than what you can actually play. When I first started playing guitar, it was Fade to Black by Metallica. I remember that was the most difficult song that I'd heard at that point when I was maybe 11 or 12. I spent months trying to learn the solo for that. It was really difficult at the time because I was almost a complete beginner. So I spent a couple of months just trying to learn the song, learning small bits of the solo every single day. If you're a beginner, you're probably not going to be able to learn a song in a day or a week or even a month. You just have to keep going. It will be tough. Some days you won't notice any improvements. Some days you might even feel worse than you did the previous day. After a while, you will notice the improvements and you'll see how far you've actually come. Another thing that helped me with improving was recording. So if you're a beginner, record yourself playing on day 1. Record yourself playing on day 30, day 60, day 90. Eventually you will look back and you'll see how much you've improved. Although you mightn't feel the changes every single day or every single week, you'll be able to notice the changes in a video. One thing that helped me was YouTube. Whenever I upload a video, I get comments, shares, likes, subscribers. It's always really nice to get that feedback, that people are actually watching your videos. They're enjoying what you're doing. I understand that YouTube isn't for everybody, but it's one thing that worked for me. I think the most important thing is that you have to want it. You have to have the passion and the drive to actually learn to play an instrument. If you're being forced to do it by your school or your parents or whatever, you're probably not going to continue doing it. But if you want to learn, you will. Do you have any advice for beginner guitarists? If you're a complete beginner and have never even touched a guitar before, the first thing I would probably suggest is to maybe find some lessons or find a friend who can show you the basics, how to hold the guitar, how to fret, how to strum. You can find after school lessons and summer camps that will teach you the basics of guitar. After that you can learn chords, learn how to read tabs, learn the basic scales, the major, minor, pentatonic, blues. Once you have those basics done, all you have to do is just try and learn as many songs as you possibly can. With every song that you want to learn, you'll learn new techniques as you do it. So if you try and learn some Metallica songs, you'll be learning a lot of intricate rhythms and fast solos. And if you learn some AC/DC or Led Zeppelin, you'll be learning the classic rock rhythms and the classic solos. But each song will teach you new techniques and you'll keep on improving. Are you self-taught or have you taken guitar lessons? I'm mostly self-taught, but I did take lessons for maybe a year for half an hour a week during school, but they didn't really teach me anything. For me, I prefer to learn by trial and error. I learn by getting things wrong and then trying to correct them. When and how did you start doing covers? I started making the videos in 2011. I got a cheap recording interface called the iRig, and that allowed me to plug my amp directly into my computer, and then I just started recording using Audacity. I would use other songs as backing tracks and just try and play along. From there, I just got better equipment and then I just started uploading videos. How do you learn all of the covers? I learn all of the songs by ear. It is difficult at the beginning, but eventually you do improve. I've been playing long enough that I know what the different shapes and chords sound like, so I just get the guitar and I just play along with the song. In most cases I'm able to play along with the song on YouTube or Spotify, but there are some times when I have to slow it down. How long does it take to learn a song? In most cases I can learn the song in half an hour. Songs repeat, which makes it a lot easier, so you only have to learn one section. Sometimes they can be tricky and I'll have to go in and learn it note by note, but most of the time it's half an hour. How do you come up with the arrangements? When listening through a song, I can hear where I want the heavy parts to be or where I want the light parts to be, where the guitars kick in, where the drums kick in, and then it's just a matter of recording it to try and get it to sound as closely as I can to what I imagined. For every song, the first thing that I do is recreate the orchestra. The orchestra always acts as the background for the songs, but it also gives me a line-by-line transcript, so all I have to do is just record each single instrument track on the guitar. What is your favourite thing about making covers? Honestly, it's the feedback. Whenever I get new subscribers or comments or likes or followers on Twitter and Instagram, it's always really nice to know that people are enjoying what you're making. I have 80,000 subscribers, I have over 16 million views, I have albums on iTunes and Spotify, and just to think I was able to do all of that from my bedroom is really nice. What's the hardest part about doing the videos? I find EQing and mixing are probably the most difficult things for me. Just as an example, I did my Infinity War video in one day. It took me maybe 18 hours total, so in 12 hours I was able to arrange a song, record it, record the video, but 6 hours of that were just pure EQing and mixing. Another thing I find difficult is actually recording the video. I don't like having to try and set up all the lights and set up the camera and get all the settings correct, but it has to be done. What inspired you to do covers? Back in 2009, 2010, 11, I was watching a lot of YouTube guitarists, such as Family Jewels, CS Guitar 89, Artificial Fear, The Del Rey, Jake McCoy. I was really into games and guitar, and seeing these guys playing video game soundtracks on the guitar was really cool and I wanted to try it. For the first couple of years of doing YouTube, I tried to copy those guys. I stuck mostly to games. I didn't do any TV shows or movies or cartoons or whatever. It was just purely games. But after college, I kind of lost interest in games. I have a degree in game development, and I found myself not enjoying the games anymore. Once I knew how the games were made, I found myself analyzing the games instead of enjoying them. So that's why I stopped doing games on the channel, and that's why I moved over to TV shows and movies. How do you get the idea to cover songs? Most of the time I have to stick with the big trends and what's popular. To get anywhere on YouTube, you need to stick with what's popular. You need to stick to the big topics, the Marvel movies, DC movies, the big TV shows, Game of Thrones. And then in between those big releases, I kind of stick to some of the smaller things, like maybe cartoons or TV shows, or even some just random themes that I've wanted to cover. I do take into account all of the comments, so if it's a good suggestion, I might do it in the future. What's your favourite guitar cover that you've ever done? I think my favourite theme is probably The Amazing Spider-Man 2. As I said earlier, whenever I'm doing a song, I have an idea of what it'll sound like in my head, and with The Amazing Spider-Man 2 theme, it was the first one that sounded exactly the same way as what I thought it might have sounded like. Another one of my favourites is Frankenstein's Monster from X-Men First Class. It's not one of my most popular videos, but I really loved how I did the build-up. That was one thing that I wanted to get right. I wanted to set the atmosphere, I wanted to set the tension, just to get that build-up the whole way to the very end of the song. And I really enjoyed how that one turned out. What equipment do you use? My setup is actually very simple. I use a Line 6 UX1 to record my guitar. With the UX1 you get access to Pod Farm. That's how I've made all of my tones for the past 6 years, although recently I've upgraded to the Line 6 Helix. I use Mixcraft 8 to record and edit everything. I use Superior Drummer 2 as my drum program, and I use the East-West Symphonic Orchestra to create all of my orchestra parts. But you don't need Superior Drummer or the East-West Symphonic Orchestra. Mixcraft has some pretty decent built-in drums and virtual instruments, so you don't need to go and buy any expensive programs. Will you do a collab with anyone in the future? I don't have any plans for a collab yet. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I kind of like to do everything myself, but if the right opportunity arises, I might do a collab in the future. Can you do this theme? In most cases it just depends on the song. A lot of times people suggest things that I don't necessarily watch or enjoy. I don't watch anime, so I'm probably not going to do any anime songs. I don't play that many games anymore, so I'm probably not going to do that many games. But all of the big themes like Jurassic Park, Mission Impossible, Indiana Jones, all of those classic movie themes, I probably will attempt those in the future. That's all the questions I have. Apologies if I missed any, but I think I answered most of them. I know that these Q&As can kind of get a bit boring sometimes, so I hope this was at least a little bit interesting. I was originally trying to do this for 75,000, but over the past month, because of Infinity War, my channel has grown over 7,000 subscribers, and now I'm at 80,000. Hopefully I hit 100,000 soon. I'll try and think of something big for that one, but until then, I'll see you next time. Batman has all of the money. Oh, shit. All I'm trying to do is get to that next step. Oh, so close. Oh, god damn it. Thanos is a great villain. Villain? What the f? Nathan Fillion? Thanos is a great Nathan Fillion.